Today we will first talk about our objectives and how they will, help us to achieve our goals. Then we will move on to the AAA Texas 500 and its concepts and attributes. We will further that by going into our situation analysis, and we will split up the attributes in the different parts of AAA Texas 500 into 4 categories: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. We'll then briefly touch on competitor analysis, and then move to customer analysis, where we will tell you about the needs and wants of our target market. We will then tell you how we plan to achieve our objectives and goals through our marketing program and how we plan to implement it. First off, on our objectives, we plan, as Texas Motor Speedway requested, we plan to penetrate a younger market, Generation Y, 18 to 25-year-olds. Secondly, we will plan to, or we desire to sell more tickets, and we believe that our first objective will help us with the second one. Additionally, currently Texas Motor Speedway has a lot of competition with the sporting events, other events in the DFW area, and we want to develop the AAA Texas 500 into a race that rivals any other sport and will have our customers continue to return. Lastly, we want to turn the AAA Texas 500 into a more social event. When we went, we felt that it was difficult to communicate with one another at the event, specifically because of the noise. But we really feel that this will appeal better to a younger generation and to racegoers in general. The AAA Texas 500, what a lot of people don't grasp is that it is a weekend event. It's not just on race day. For example, thousands of people, as soon as the gates open, will pour in for camping for the weekend. And specifically on race day, there are a bunch of activities for the AAA Texas 500. Pit passes, VIP parking, obviously tailgating, driver introductions, and one thing that really sets the race apart from the others is it's part of the chase. It's the 8th out of 10 chase races, so it's essentially like the finals in the NBA playoffs or the final or the Super Bowl, and we feel that that's really important in these marketing. For our strengths, we believe that one of the primary strengths is that TMS is the only NASCAR or only racetrack to host NASCAR races in Texas. Also, NASCAR is the #1 spectator sport in America currently, and as I was saying earlier, it is a weekend event. It's all weekend, there are plenty of things to do, lots of activities. Although there aren't very many, there are a few weaknesses. For example, when I was leaving the race this past fall, it took me almost an hour and a half to get back to Fort Worth, specifically because of traffic. And then, in addition, we felt that there was a lack of socialization throughout the customers and throughout the customers. And we feel that's really important, that they need to be communicating with each other. I know for myself, I go to sporting events I typically go with friends or family because not necessarily because I want to go to the event, but because it's a social experience, and our generation is very social. The opportunities, DFW is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States. It's near a lot of colleges, so you have you have market segments of Generation Y that are very easy to reach, as opposed to if you're wanting to reach Generation Y, members that are not in college, you have to go to churches, I guess, or their jobs and pick them off individually. But here we have a cluster of Generation Y. And then also there's a lack of knowledge, which we see as a strong opportunity, because with a little bit more marketing and advertising, we feel that we can develop the race more and put more butts in the seats. Finally, threats. Formula One has only had 2 races in Austin, but they are going to the Circuit of the Americas is going to be there for the next 8 years. And so we see this as a considerable threat. And other entertainment events such as football games, basketball games, music concerts, things of that sort. And then also it's opening weekend, the race is scheduled on opening weekend of deer season. And growing up in Texas, I understand that it's a big deal to a lot of people, and a lot of people, it will draw a considerable amount of our crowd. As I was just saying, competitors, deer season, Formula One, specifically the music in the bars in Fort Worth, such as Billy Bob's, or one of the bigger ones in Dallas, could draw if a person like Willie Nelson's playing on the same weekend as the race. It could attract some of our customers. Also, for the younger generations, Six Flags in Arlington, and football and basketball seasons.
Alright, now as requested, we're targeting Generation Y, which is 18 to 25-year-olds. Now, DFW has a huge population, and a large portion of that population is those in Generation Y. It'd be too much of a task to really target that whole population, so we decided that it's best to segment it into colleges. There's plenty of colleges around the DFW Metroplex, such as SMU, TCU, UNT, so we figured that was a really manageable way to really get at this market. Also, we really wanted to stress the fact that a lot of kids are participating in fraternities and sororities. Now, these organizations, they're purely social, so we just thought that it was very important to think about that. And I mean, as you've noticed, we've been stressing this whole social factor and how that's going to go into what we're recommending. So, this social factor, right? We want to start off with making a few additions to the AAA Texas 500. We all recognize that the AAA Texas 500 really is a wild asphalt circus. It's a lot of fun. Those guys are crazy. It really kind of blew my mind when I saw how fast they were going around the track and how close they were to everyone. So that's a lot of fun to watch. But we wanted to really help the entire weekend by adding a little bit more to the product. And we wanted to start with some pre-race changes. We wanted to begin with a carnival. So essentially kind of contracting out a carnival, which would go on before the race and draw in customers. Because basically carnivals are a lot of fun. It really appeals to the Generation Y segment, and it would just be a great time for people to come in, ride a few rides, do a few carnival games, and it would be a blast, something memorable, something that Cowboys Stadium doesn't do. The Rangers, they don't have that. It would really set TMS apart from all of those other events. Next up, back to the social aspect, bundled microphone headphones. When I was sitting with Jonathan here at the event, we were literally yelling in each other's ears, trying to talk to each other, and still couldn't hear each other. So what we were thinking is, why not bundle headphones that would allow you to talk to each other, have little microphones? We thought that would be a really good idea, because one of the things about Cowboys Stadium and Rangers Stadium is you can talk to the person next to you, not only about the game, but you can talk about what you did on the weekend. It doesn't all have to be about watching the event. It's more of a social environment. And then finally, the last thing we want to suggest is socialization areas. You can see the draw here. This is outside of the Saints Stadium. Basically, we just want to develop a couple areas where people can meet up, they can get out of their seats, go watch the race on some TVs, have a few drinks, spend a little bit of money. It's a new source of revenue, and essentially just have a good time with their friends and be able to talk and just kind of get away from the race for a little bit. It's a long race, and then they can go back to their seats whenever they see fit. Here's another example of kind of an area. Obviously, this is Cowboys Stadium, and we're not suggesting something quite this elaborate, but basically a smaller version of this we think would be a really good idea. Now, how are we going to get people to the event? We thought that having some campus representatives, kids that really know the market, they're within the market, and they can offer a personal draw to the event. So students that are in organizations. They can talk to their friends, talk to the organizations, really bring kids in, offer incentives like ticket deals. Like you're gonna take a cut off those deals, but you're gonna make up for that in the quantity of kids going, because these kids are gonna really be able to offer a personal, essentially, marketing to your actual target. And then finally, we thought it might be kind of a fun idea to do kind of almost a Twitter campaign. Basically use Twitter to kind of educate people using just a few NASCAR facts, some things about Texas Motor Speedway, help people learn a little bit more about what TMS is all about, what NASCAR is all about. Even do something a little bit entertaining, like have each week thrown a crash of the week, and kind of people would enjoy seeing something because it's kind of wild. It kind of shows the dangerous side of NASCAR and why they should come in and watch. And also, something that all TCU students are pretty familiar with every football game, you can tweet a picture of yourself with a hashtag, you get it up on the video board, and with implementing the new screen, the new video board, the biggest one in the world, that's awesome. So it would be a huge draw being able to have your picture up there, and I'm pretty sure people would want to go just for the sake of that. As for the implementation of the plan, we recommend conducting some primary research in order to figure out who you want to talk to, who you want to represent Texas Motor Speedway, so you can get the most out of your on-campus representatives, who is going to have the most influence on campus, who's going to be able to get the most people to come to the event. You want to train your employees. Now, I'm sure you have a number of employees who are within this market who really know how to deal with the market, but as you're bringing in more younger generation wires, you're going to want to teach your employees to how to deal with them and how they're different from your existing market. And then we determined that setting up the socialization areas around entrance 6 and 4 would be the best way to do that, because it would be the easiest access for all of the Texas Motor Speedway patrons. And then contract out the carnival, essentially, so you don't have to deal with the rides and all of that. Someone else is dealing with that. But we did notice that there was a lot of parking space that was open. So you could take up a little bit of that space and really draw in customers. So basically an overview of what we talked about today. The goal of this plan is to sell more tickets. In order to do this, we want to meet the social needs of the target market, and to do that, we want to implement a socialization areas, pre-race activities in the carnival, and then the bundled headphones with the tickets, and so which allows people to talk to each other. And we're going to do that, get people there by introducing on-campus representatives. I'd like to thank you for your time today and open the floor for any questions.